What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy, Dr. J. Phoenix, Singh, your personal academic mentor, here to be able to bring you the answer to a valued viewer's question. This particular question was on one of our most popular videos to date, which was called Top 10 Grad School Interview Questions and Answers. So this is also the video that has the most comments and questions on it. And so what I decided to do is to be able to go through them for you. I'm going to make another video. Let me know in the comments below if you want this video to be able to go through. A lot of people ask me, the number one question is they will pose a weakness and say, for the question that has to do with what are your biggest strengths and weaknesses, they will say, Dr. Singh, can I say this for my biggest weakness? So now I'm kind of developing this laundry list of different proposed weaknesses. And what I thought I would do for another video is to kind of have this compilation, figure out what are the common themes there, and then address it for you. So if that's the kind of video you would be interested in seeing, comment down below and let me know. Before we go further today, before I give you the question that we're going to be tackling and then answer it for you, you guys know I love you. I appreciate you. Please do like this video. It's the little thumbs up button below. Totally free for you guys. Helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. You guys know me. I am always trying to make new videos for you guys, give you free advice. If you're interested in answering very specific, and me answering for you very specific questions about your individual case, don't hesitate to get in touch to be able to book a one-on-one paid appointment with me. It would be a pleasure to be able to help you out. We'll get your questions answered, and hopefully we can get you on the right track, regardless of whether your goal is to be able to get into grad school, if it is to be able to get a postdoctoral position, if you're an early career professional trying to get tenure, get more publications, you name it, I can help you out. It'll be a pleasure. So what I wanted to do today is to be able to answer a question that I got, which I think was a really great one from John. So John, thank you so much for asking this question. I appreciate you very much. I especially appreciate you asking questions that can benefit the entire Navigating Academia community. So let's go ahead and get after it. So the question that John has is there anything that I definitely should never say, no matter what, in a graduate school interview? So this is a really hyperbolic question, John, and I love me some hyperbolic questions. So what I've done, John, is that I have come up with what I perceive to be the 5 things that I think you should never say in a graduate school interview process, regardless of the type of grad school program that you're going into, specifically if it's in behavioral health or any kind of experimental science. Okay, John? So here we go. This is in no particular order, by the way. And a lot of this is based on the questions and the answers that I have gotten in that comment section. So this can also serve as kind of a coming attraction for that type of video if you're interested in me putting something like that together. Okay, John, so let's go. First thing you should never say in a grad school interview is that you have a lack of self-esteem. Even if you say that you have a lack of self-esteem, but you're working on it, or if you say something like, you actually could say something like, you're really shy, but you're working on it. I think that that's fair. But if you say something like you lack social skills, or you have low self-esteem, anything with imposter syndrome, that's not a good thing to be able to say. So that's number one. Number 2 is, and this sounds terrible because I can tell you I definitely experienced diagnosable depression during graduate school. Grad school sucks. Sorry. But hey, so do it's like 35 to 40% of men and over 40% of women experience diagnosable major depression or clinical anxiety of some sort in grad school. So to be honest with you, that is more the rule than the exception. And this is why in other videos I always talk to you about before you start grad school, you need to really consciously build up your protective factors, social protective factors, emotional protective factors, physical protective factors, spiritual protective factors, and financial protective factors. You need to get all those things in place, John. Okay, it's really important. Okay, so keeping that in mind, I really hate to say number 2. I genuinely, John, do. But this is true. And you guys know that the number one most important thing to me is actually shooting you straight. Nobody shoots people straight when it comes to these things. So that's my number 1 thing. So number 2 is never mention if you have active symptoms of a diagnosed or a diagnosable major mental illness. If you have depression, never say that my biggest weakness is that I suffer from depression, or my biggest weakness is that I really have anxiety problems, or I'm phobic in a certain way. Even if it's true, And even if it's something where, and huge shout out and kudos to you if you are going and actively seeing a therapist. I think therapists are amazing, right? I think every human being should be in therapy. I have a colleague of mine who works in Argentina where psychoanalysis is, super broadly used, and like everybody's got a psychoanalyst. And there's a saying in La Plata, which is where I spent some time with a good colleague of mine a few years ago. His name's Jorge Felino. Love you, Jorge. And Jorge told me, it's just like there's a saying that we have here in La Plata, which is on Monday you go grocery shopping, on Tuesday you spend time with your family, and on Wednesday you go and see your therapist, right? It's just that normal in certain societies, and in certain Western societies it is still stigmatized, which it should not be whatsoever. Not only is it not a weakness to go and see a therapist, it is a huge sign of personal strength. So love and kudos to you if you're going through the therapeutic process right now. Now, keeping that in mind, it is not something that you should say in a grad school interview. To be frank, it's nobody's business, and it's also something where, let's put it this way, if you have a grad school mentor that you really want to work with, a grad school supervisor, that supervisor is looking for somebody who is not going to cause any problems and is very smoothly going to slide into their lab. That's it. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody who already knows their work, which is why you need to get very well acquainted with their recent publications, where they're the first author or the senior author, right? Super important. Over the last, I usually say 2 to 3 years especially, need to go to their CV, figure out what their grant funding is, learn as much about that funding as possible, especially if their application that was successful is actually posted publicly online. In some cases, that's the case. You need to find out what you're going to be getting into. You cannot think that you're going to go to grad school and do whatever you want, right? If the lab is focused on something in particular and they have grant funding for it and you're not interested in it, that is the wrong lab. Don't apply to work with that mentor. Even if you get in, you're going to be miserable. It's not a good idea, okay? So do not mention if you have active symptoms of a diagnosed major mental illness, because the idea of you kind of, just kind of smoothly sliding in and not causing any problems, it could raise some red flags. Is that unfair? It is absolutely unfair. Completely unfair. And is it something that should never be taken into consideration when making a decision in terms of who graduate supervisors should take on as a student? Yes, I am telling you absolutely. It should not be taken into consideration. Is it something where the decision-making process will be implicitly biased, even if the person doesn't want it to be? Likelihood is exceptionally high. And that's why I say that, okay? That's number 2. Number 3, John, is never say that you're not great at time management. I don't know why people think that that's an okay thing to say. They say, oh, I'm not really great at managing my time. I find myself, I'm really overwhelmed, or like, I usually wait until the last minute to do tasks, but I'm getting better at that. That's a really bad thing to say. If you're not great at time management, don't go to graduate school. A lot of people think grad school is some continuation of undergrad, and I'm just going to take some classes, I'll get some good grades, yeah, there's some writing projects, that's it. No! Graduate school is not a continuation of undergrad. It is an entirely different beast, as you will learn, right? I mean, I can tell you from both personal experience and being in the game as a grad supervisor for 15 years, I'm just telling you right now, it is a totally different beast, okay? Do not say that you're not good at time management. That's number 3. Number 4, don't say that you're working on work-life balance, okay? This is grad school. There's no work-life balance. There's work-life balance. That's what it is, okay? If you can't accept that, don't go to graduate school. Especially don't do a doctoral program, or you out of your actual mind, okay? Do not say that, because grad supervisors want you to pick up the phone at 11 p.m. on a Saturday because they really need a certain piece of data and they need you to provide it. And as I've said in other videos, God bless you if you say, you know what, I got strong boundaries, it is what it is. Congratulations on having boundaries again, but that's not really going to reflect well on you. And I'm sorry to say that, but people don't shoot you straight in terms of graduate school. And I'm telling you the truth, okay? So it is what it is. Finally, number 5, never say that you're not good at statistics. Oh my gosh, especially if you're in a social science, like a behavioral health science, you want to get a clinical psych PhD, research-based program. If it's a research-based program in particular, and you say that you're not good at stats, but you're working on it, that's not great, okay? One of the things you could say is, in terms of the stats classes that I've taken in the past, I found that they kind of ended at, let's say, like regression. And because of that, I'm really interested in more advanced methodologies, things like, hierarchical linear modeling and propensity scoring scoring and meta-analytic methodologies. That's what I'm really passionate about learning more about. And so because of that, I've enrolled in several free certification programs online. I watch a lot of YouTube videos to be able to try to learn and teach myself, but I think I could really benefit from formal instruction. That's one of the reasons I'm really excited about this program, is because it's really stats heavy, and that's something I'm excited about. Boom, that's great. That works perfectly well, okay? That would be an ideal answer. Again, never use a weakness, John. That would be something that could come across as self-serving. So for example, it's my biggest weakness is that I work too hard. Womp womp. Okay, don't say something like that, right? Everybody knows what you're doing. You're not tricking anybody, right? Nobody in that office is going to be in that interview is going to be oh my gosh, his biggest weakness is his strength. Amazing. No, don't do that, John, okay? So, that, John, is what I think is my little list of kind of the top 5 things to never say in a graduate school interview. Are all of them super fair? No, they're not super fair, like I said before. But am I shooting you straight? Always. Okay, so John, I love you. Thank you so much, buddy, for the question. If you haven't already subscribed, everyone, to the channel, please do subscribe. Share the link with your friends, with your colleagues, with your students. Ask your questions. That's why I'm here, okay? Make sure they're high sensitivity questions that are worded in a way that they would be interested to the entire community. Otherwise, I will respond to your comment and say that you need to book a one-on-one session, okay? So, lots of love. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.